Am I a jerk for getting my sister arrested at her own wedding? All right, here goes. So I, 28F, have this sibling, Alex, 30 and B, who has always been the golden child in our family. They're charming, successful, and can do no wrong in my parents' eyes. Me? I'm just the awkward, artsy younger sister who never quite fit in. Despite all that, Alex and I have always had a decent relationship, albeit with a lot of competitive undertones. So, Alex was getting married to their partner Jamie, 29M, in this grand ceremony that felt more like a royal wedding than anything else. It was all planned to perfection, with everything from the flowers to the table settings being meticulously curated. I was genuinely happy for them, but also a bit nervous because weddings and family gatherings always bring out the worst in my anxiety. The wedding was set to be the event of the year. My parents were ecstatic, and I could tell they were hoping Alex's marriage would finally set an example for me to get my act together, as they so often put it. Anyway, the day of the wedding arrives and everything is going smoothly. I'm doing my best to keep a low profile and avoid any unnecessary drama. During the reception, after a few too many glasses of champagne, I overheard Alex and their best friend Mike having a rather heated conversation. They were talking about some kind of business they were involved in. Now, Alex works in finance and Mike is a lawyer, so I figured it was something mundane. But then I heard something that made my ears perk up. Apparently, Alex and Mike had been involved in some shady dealings. I didn't catch all the details, but from what I gathered, it was serious enough to get them both into deep trouble. They mentioned something about money laundering and offshore accounts. I was shocked and a little scared for Alex. Despite everything, I didn't want them to get hurt or ruin their life. I decided to confront Alex about it in private. I found them in a quiet corner and tried to talk to them, but they brushed me off and told me to mind my own business. Typical. I was really worried though, and I couldn't just let it go, so I did something that in hindsight might have been really stupid. I called the police. I told them everything I had overheard and gave them as much information as I could. The cops took me seriously and said they would look into it. I felt a bit of relief, but also a lot of guilt. This was my sibling's wedding day after all, and I had just potentially ruined it. A couple of hours later, during the speeches, the police arrived. They came in and arrested Alex and Mike right there in front of everyone. The room went silent, and my parents looked like they were about to have a heart attack. Alex was taken away in handcuffs, screaming at me and calling me every name under the sun. It was an absolute disaster. The rest of the evening was a blur. Jamie was in tears, my parents were furious with me, and I felt like the biggest jerk in the world. I tried to explain that I did it because I was worried about Alex, but no one wanted to hear it. They all blamed me for ruining the wedding and possibly Alex's future. Now, I'm sitting here wondering if I did the right thing. On one hand, I couldn't just ignore what I heard and let Alex get into more trouble. On the other hand, maybe there was a better way to handle it that didn't involve getting them arrested at their own wedding. Am I a jerk? Update 1. Hey everyone, I wanted to give you an update on the situation with Alex and the wedding fallout. Thank you for all the comments and advice. I've read through them and it's been a mix of support and criticism, which I totally expected. So here's what happened after the initial post. After the wedding debacle, I went home and tried to lay low for a bit. My parents were absolutely livid with me, and they made it clear they didn't want to see me for a while. I understood, but it still hurt. I felt like I had no one to turn to, so I spent a lot of time just processing everything on my own. About a week later, I got a call from Jamie. He sounded calmer than I expected and asked if we could meet up to talk. I agreed, and we met at a coffee shop. Jamie looked tired and stressed, but he was surprisingly understanding. He told me that he knew Alex was involved in some shady stuff but didn't know the full extent of it. He thanked me for trying to help, but also said that the timing was really unfortunate. Jamie also told me that Alex had been released on bail and was now staying with his parents. He said Alex was furious with me, but also scared about what might happen next. I felt terrible, but Jamie assured me that it wasn't entirely my fault. He said that Alex's actions had consequences and that maybe this would be a wake-up call for them. Over the next few days, I tried to reach out to my parents and Alex, but they were not ready to talk. I decided to give them some space and focus on my own life. I went back to work and tried to keep myself busy, but the guilt was always there, nagging at me. A couple of weeks later, I got another call, this time from Mike's lawyer. He wanted to meet and discuss what I knew and what I had overheard. I was really nervous about it, but I agreed. We met in his office, and I told him everything I had heard that night at the wedding. The lawyer thanked me and said that my information was helpful for their case. He also mentioned that Alex and Mike were cooperating with the authorities and that things might not be as bad as they initially seemed. I left the meeting feeling a little more hopeful but still uncertain about the future. I knew that things were far from resolved and that my relationship with my family might never be the same again. Fast forward a month, and I finally got a call from my parents asking me to come over for dinner. I was nervous but also relieved. When I got there, the atmosphere was tense, but they were willing to talk. My parents explained that they were still upset with me, but they understood that I was trying to protect Alex. We had a long emotional conversation, and by the end of it, we were on better terms, though things were still a bit strained. Alex, on the other hand, refused to see me. They sent me a long text message saying that they couldn't believe I would do something like that and that they needed time to process everything. I respected their wishes and decided to give them the space they needed. In the meantime, I continued to focus on my own life, trying to move forward while also dealing with the fallout of my actions. It's been a roller coaster of emotions, but I'm slowly starting to find my footing again. I'll keep you all updated if anything significant happens. Thanks again for all your support and advice. Update 2. Hey everyone, here's another update on the situation with Alex and my family. It's been a few months since the wedding incident, and a lot has happened since then. I appreciate all the support and advice from everyone. It's been a tough ride, but here's where things stand now. After the initial shock and anger, my parents and I have started to mend our relationship. It's been a slow process, but we're getting there. They still have moments where they're upset about what happened, but they've also started to see that Alex's actions were a big part of the problem. We've had a few family dinners, and while things are still a bit awkward, it's getting better. Alex, however, has been a different story. They were furious with me for a long time and refused to talk to me. I respected their need for space, but also felt really sad about the whole situation. I kept reaching out occasionally, just to let them know I was here if they wanted to talk, but I didn't push it. One day, out of the blue, I got a message from Alex asking if we could meet up. I was nervous, but also hopeful. We met at a park, and Alex looked different, more tired and stressed than I had ever seen them. They started by saying they were still really angry with me, but that they had come to realize that I didn't act out of malice. We had a long, emotional conversation where Alex opened up about the pressure they had been under and how they had gotten involved in the shady business dealings. They admitted that they had made a lot of mistakes and were scared about the consequences. I listened and apologized for the way I handled things, explaining that I was genuinely worried about them and didn't know what else to do. Alex appreciated my apology, and we started to slowly rebuild our relationship from there. It wasn't easy, and there were a lot of ups and downs, but we were making progress. Alex's legal situation was still ongoing, but they were working with their lawyer and trying to make things right. Around this time, Jamie reached out to me again. He thanked me for helping Alex see the reality of their situation and for being there for them despite everything. Jamie and I started to build a friendship, and it was nice to have someone to talk to who understood the whole situation. A few months later, Alex's case went to court. It was a nerve-wracking experience, but in the end, they got a relatively lenient sentence thanks to their cooperation with the authorities. They were put on probation and had to pay a hefty fine, but they avoided jail time. It was a huge relief for everyone, and it felt like a fresh start. With the legal issues behind us, Alex and I continued to work on our relationship. We had a lot of deep conversations and started to understand each other better. Our parents were also relieved and began to relax a bit. Family gatherings were still a bit tense, but they were getting better. As for me, I decided to make some changes in my own life. I realized that I had been so caught up in the drama that I had neglected my own happiness. I started going to therapy to work through my anxiety and guilt, and it made a huge difference. I also picked up some new hobbies and started focusing on my career again. It's been a long, challenging journey, but things are finally starting to look up. I'm hopeful that with time, our family will heal and we can move forward from this. I'll keep you all updated if there are any more significant developments. Thanks again for all the support and advice. Update 3. Hello again, everyone. It's been a year since the wedding incident, and I thought it was time for another update. I can't thank you all enough for the support and advice you've given me. It's been a wild ride, but here's where things stand now. Alex has been doing a lot better. They completed their probation and have been working hard to rebuild their life. They got a new job, and while it's not as glamorous as their old one, they seem happier and less stressed. We've been spending more time together, and our relationship is stronger than it's ever been. We still have our disagreements, but we're learning to communicate better and support each other. Jamie and Alex's relationship has also improved. They went through a rough patch after the wedding, but they decided to go to couples therapy and work through their issues. It's been a tough journey for them, but they're committed to making it work. Jamie has been incredibly supportive, and I'm grateful that he's been there for Alex through all of this. My relationship with my parents has also improved. They've started to see me in a different light and appreciate the steps I took to protect Alex, even if it caused a lot of drama at the time. We've had a lot of heart-to-heart conversations, and while things aren't perfect, we're in a much better place now. As for me, I've made some big changes in my life. Therapy has helped me deal with my anxiety and guilt, and I've become more confident and assertive. I've also started a new job that I'm really passionate about, and it's been a great boost to my self-esteem. I've even started dating again, and while it's still early days, I'm excited about the future. One of the biggest changes has been my outlook on life. I've realized that I need to focus on my own happiness and not get so caught up in other people's expectations. It's been a liberating experience, and I'm finally starting to feel like I'm living my own life, not just trying to please others. The wedding incident was a wake-up call for all of us. It forced us to confront some uncomfortable truths and make necessary changes. It wasn't easy, and there were times when I thought we'd never get through it, but here we are, stronger and closer than before. I know there will still be challenges ahead, but I'm confident that we can face them together as a family. Thank you all again for your support and advice. It's been a long, crazy journey, but I'm hopeful that the worst is behind us and that we can finally move forward.